A story about honesty. Once upon a time, there was a young boy named Jack who lived in a small village. Jack was known for his honesty, and he always spoke the truth, no matter the consequences. This made him a little unpopular amongst his peers, who often teased him for being too honest. But Jack didn't let that bother him. He knew that honesty was the best policy. One day, the village was hit by a terrible storm that destroyed most of the crops. The villagers were left with very little food, and they began to worry about how they would survive the winter. One of the villagers came up with an idea. He suggested that they pool all their resources together and divide the food equally amongst themselves. Everyone agreed, and they began to bring their food to the center of the village, where it would be divided. Jack had brought his small sack of wheat to the village center, but as he was placing it on the pile, he noticed that one of the other villagers had placed a much larger sack of wheat. Jack knew that it wasn't fair, but he didn't say anything. He didn't want to cause a scene or make anyone upset. The next day, Jack couldn't sleep. He knew that what had happened wasn't right, and he knew that he needed to speak up. So the next morning, Jack went to the village elder and told him what he had seen. The elder was impressed by Jack's honesty and decided to investigate. As it turned out, the villager who had brought the large sack of wheat had been hoarding food for himself. When the elder confronted him, he admitted his wrongdoing and apologized to the entire village. The food was then divided equally amongst all the villagers, and everyone had enough to eat. From that day on, Jack's honesty was celebrated in the village. The other villagers realized that honesty was a valuable trait, and they began to respect Jack for his integrity. Jack learned that sometimes, telling the truth can be difficult, but it's always the right thing to do. And in the end, honesty pays off in more ways than one.